All right, I've gotten a few questions on how to complete the graph on Lab 2, Scientific Literature. So I'm going to go over that with you now. You can see up here, you guys have different numbers than what I have. I did purposefully change those, so just make sure after you watch the video that you complete this graph according to the numbers that are actually on your worksheet. Okay. All right, so I want to walk you through the requirements, how to fulfill each requirement, and just in general how to make a graph. This is without a doubt the thing that I see people miss the most points on during the semester is when they're supposed to be doing graphs. We're going to be doing a lot of graphs this semester. Each time they're going to be worth anywhere from 4 to 10 points. So that's a lot of points that you can be missing. So just to make sure that you understand how to do this. So yeah, feel free to message me with any questions you have after you watch this video. All right, so in addition to just making a graph, you're just going to be making a bar graph, super easy. You all know how to do that. But we're going to fancy it up by adding a couple features such as error bars, making sure your axes are labeled appropriately, titles, figure captions, and you're going to include your statistical data with your graph. So again, simple bar graph, but we're adding fancy features. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to give our graph a title, and yes, that is worth points. Super easy points. So since you're studying the height of the growth of corn plants under red light and yellow light, really that's it. That's what you can do for your title. You can just say growth of corn plants under red and yellow lights. Great, super easy. Okay, that's all you'd have to do. And you would want to make sure that you put your title up here. Okay. All right, then the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to label your axes before you draw your bars. So on your y-axis over here, you should always label your y-axis with your dependent variable or the thing that you're measuring. So in this case, they measured the height of the corn plants in inches. So you can just say like plant height. So again, really, really easy, you guys. Plant height, and then you're going to want to indicate the unit that is worth half the points for that requirement is units. So you want to make sure that you do inches. And then in addition to just the title of the axis, you want to make sure that you're labeling each of these bars that cross it with the value. So like looking 13, 27 inches. Okay, so I think maybe 5 inches would be a good like increment to do these in. You could do 3, you could do 2. You know, you can do whatever you want as long as it makes sense for the scale. Anyway, okay, so I wouldn't draw them over the graph. I just didn't have room. But anyway, so you get the idea, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 inches, okay? Then for your x-axis, you're gonna wanna label that with kind of the type of treatments that you did. Since our treatments here are yellow light and red light, color of light would be a great title for that axis, or light color. So, sorry, drawing in tight quarters here. Light color. Okay, so that's all you need to do for that axis. Okay, so now that we have the graph is labeled, the axes are labeled, and we have our units worked in there, now we can actually draw the bars for our bar graph. So let's start with our yellow light. Make it chonky. Okay. All right. So you're going to want to make sure that you label your bars. So I don't have room to write yellow, but I'm just going to put a very terrible looking Y there so you guys know that it's for the yellow light. Okay. So our bar for this one is just going to be 13 inches. Okay. So we are going to go a little bit below 15, between 15 and 10. Okay. And that's where we want to draw our bar for our yellow. Okay, that is a little higher than I would like it to be, but again, this is a very crude drawing here. Okay, all right, and then we're going to need to put our red light bar somewhere else. So again, we're going to use this information right here. We know that our red light plants grew to be 27 inches, so we're going to find 25 on our graph. We're going to go a little bit above that. Okay, and we're just going to fill this bar in. And even though I have color-coded the bars, you still need to, again, label at the bottom what treatment that's for. So sorry, I wouldn't normally put them on top of each other. But anyway, then I would just put an R there for red. That's terrible. I want to fix that. Okay. We'll make this look a little better. We have Y for yellow. We have R for red. There we go. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to want to do, so we've done axes labels, we've made a title. Okay, so now we need to do our error bars. The error bars are going to be made using these standard deviation numbers that are given right here. Your error bar should be 1 standard deviation above the mean and 1 standard deviation below the mean. So for yellow, our mean height was 13 inches. So that means our error bar needs to go 2 inches above, so 1 standard deviation above, and 1 standard deviation below to 11. So we need to draw an error bar that goes from 11 to 15 inches. Okay, so here's about where 11 is. That's where 15 is. Okay, it just looks like an I, a capital I that we've stretched out. All right, and then over here, for our red, our standard deviation for red was 4 inches. So we need to go 4 inches above 27 to 31 and 4 inches below 27 to 23. Okay, so we're gonna go, just looks so much better when I do this with my cursor and not with my fingers. Okay, so again, it's just a stretched out capital I. Okay, the scale on this is kind of poor. It should be an even amount above and an even amount below, but you guys get it. So, all right. Okay, so that's drawing your error bars. So that was pretty easy. And then for your figure caption and your statistical data, you're going to want to make sure that your figure caption includes your statistical data. So figure caption is just a phrase that would describe what you would see on your graph. So basically, if you had to describe your graph to somebody that couldn't physically look at it, what would you say to them? So in this case, I would say, you know, plants grown under red light on average were taller than plants that grew under yellow light. Great. Okay, that's all that you would need to say. And then to include your statistical data, you could just add to that, the data was analyzed and shown to have a p-value of p equals 0.02. I think that's what it says about this. So that's all you would need is those 2 sentences. Okay, so on average, the plants growing under the red light were taller than plants under the yellow light. This data was analyzed and found to have a p-value of p equals 0.02. That's all you need is that one long sentence or 2 sentences, however you want to write it. Anyway, I hope that this quick walkthrough of how to do your graphs, as sloppy as it is, will help you. Please ask on the raise your hand discussion board if you have any more questions about how to do graphs. But yeah, just do this right now and it'll set you up to make sure that you're getting all those points for the rest of the semester. So, all right, good luck, you guys.